This year, I'm designing a hardtail. In the last year and a half, this channel has really grown and taken off, and it's all because of you guys. Thank you for spreading the word and sharing the hardtail love with your friends, and especially thank you to my patrons who make this possible. As you know, I don't have a bike sponsor like a lot of YouTubers, and I'm intentionally keeping it that way because I like reviewing bikes and not being biased. So my patrons make it possible for me to be able to make all these videos. You guys rock. Thank you. The last year and a half has been amazing. I've partnered with some really cool companies. Club Ride made the Hardtail Party edition of some of their shirts. That was super fun. And I've also had 5 or 6 bike companies consult with me on their future hardtails. They're getting my input into what I think we should see on these things. And that is so much fun. I love consulting with these companies. I love providing input. I love helping them know what the market needs and what the market wants. And I know all of that because of you guys and your wonderful comments, all my patrons who comment on Patreon as well. Thank you for your input. We now have a better picture of what hardtails should look like in the future. And some companies are really taking it seriously. So there are some real exciting hardtails coming out in the next year. I can't talk about them, but as soon as I can talk about them, I will. And I'm really excited to show you the input that I had on them and how they turned out. It's been really fun working with so many great companies. A lot of you have said, every review, you always find something you don't like about the bike. Why don't you just make your own bike? Well, I am, kind of. I don't want to start a bike company. I don't have the energy or bandwidth or passion for that. But I want to design a bike model underneath a bike company. So I reached out to 5 or 6 of my favorite companies that I like what they're doing. And a lot of them said, I like your idea. I don't know that it'll sell. Others said, thanks, it's not quite in the scope of what we have going on. And other companies said, I'm actually making something that's kind of like that, so I don't want to make something super close. And nothing really clicked. And then last year I met up with one company. I rode with them, I tested out some of their bikes, and they said, hey, why don't you take one of my bikes home and review it? And I said, I like your bike, but I don't love your bike for my riding style. And they said, how would you like to design a bike for your riding style? This was the moment I was waiting for. I finally found someone who wanted to get behind it and see what I would build if I designed a bike from scratch. I've never designed a bike before, and it's going to be a learning experience. But I like learning, and the best way to learn is by doing. So I'm going to be working with a company, which I will reveal later, to develop a hardtail to the exact geometry that I want. I've ridden so many hardtails lately, and you'd be surprised at how different Hardtail A rides from Hardtail B. There's a huge difference, at least to me. If you're not nuanced to these things and every bike feels the same to you, then this channel is probably pointless to you. But if you can feel the difference between 4 or 5 PSI between your tires, you can feel the difference between these hardtails. And you'd think they'd all ride the same. I mean, it's a rigid frame with the suspension fork on the front with pretty much the same type of components from bike to bike. They should all ride about the same. It's really surprising how they don't. So as I've ridden each bike, I kind of tweak in my mind what would make it ideal for me and how I would love to see it. There are a handful of magical bikes that just have the perfect combination that are a ton of fun to ride. And I'm hoping I can take all my knowledge and lump it into a perfect little bike. If only it were that simple. It's not, and I don't expect to hit it out of the park the first time, but I'm really excited to share my take on what a hardtail should be with you guys. So I'm going to pause for a second and ask you a question. If you were designing a hardtail, your dream hardtail, I want you to post in the comments below. What's your height? What is your ideal reach, head tube angle, seat tube angle, bottom bracket drop, effective top tube, travel amount, chainstay length, and tire size? If you had your heart's content and you could, pick all those aspects, what would your numbers look like? And if you don't know what all those numbers are and what they mean, or at least what you prefer, that's okay. Post that in the comments below. Let us know that you don't understand all of those. I'm curious how many of you know exactly what geo you would want if you went to a custom builder. It's funny, I get a lot of people on Patreon consulting with me saying, I want to build a custom bike. And I'll say, great. What's your background? What bikes have you liked? What bikes don't you like? And they say, well, I haven't really ridden, but I want a custom bike. Can you just pick the geometry numbers for me? and I can't do that. The benefit of a custom bike is you being able to make it exactly how you want it to ride. And to do that, you need to know something about geometry. So I'll give you a little insight into what I want this bike to be. Everyone wants a bike to do it all. I want a bike that's rowdy, that can still go on 60-mile days and be bike packed and not bat an eye. So I want something that's 27.5 plus compatible, room for 27.5 by 3.0. I want room for 29 by 2.6. In fact, I want room for 29 by 3.0. I want a way to easily mount a rack on the back, because I think seat bags are great if you're tall, but not great if you're short, especially if you use a dropper. And the type of bike packing that I like to do involves a dropper. So I want to be able to hard mount a frame onto this. I'd like it to be titanium or aluminum that's nice and supple. But the company I'm going to be working with only does titanium, so it's going to be a titanium frame. I want something slack. I want something with super short chainstays. I want something with sliding dropouts because I love single speed, and I love being able to tweak the chainstay length. I'm a tinkerer. I like to change things, and some bikes work great with a short chainstay and some don't. I want lots of room for a dropper. I want to be able to run a 175 or even a 200 mil dropper. A 200 mil would be a dream come true. I also want the frame to be compliant, and that's really important to me. If it ticks all the boxes, but it's stiff and harsh and beats me up, we failed. So compliance is really important. I'm not an engineer, I'm not a frame builder, and there are lots of people that know a lot more about compliance and how to build it into a frame than I do. I have some theories, and I'm going to be relying on the experience of the company that I'm working with. So I really want this to have a forgiving ride, so that when people ride it, they can say, now that is what a hardtail is supposed to feel like. And they get it, because I think most people that have ridden hardtails have ridden bad ones. And hardtails get a bad rap because there's so many bad hardtails out there. But man, a good hardtail is a thing of beauty. But hopefully I get it right, and this thing is a thing of beauty and not a total turd. So I want it to be rowdy enough to handle double black diamonds, but I'm not building it specifically for double black diamonds. It seems like right now people are either building like bike packing XC trail bikes or super hardcore Hanzo ESD Marin Elroy stuff and there's not a lot of blend in the middle. And I kind of want to back away from the super hardcore stuff, more toward the middle ground, but still have it be planted enough to go super hardcore. If you've watched this channel more than a few times, you know I love a 130 mil fork on a hardtail. So I'm going to design it around a 130 mil fork, and I want a tall stack. So I want a long reach, tall stack, short chainstay, short offset fork, clearance for 29 by 3.0. And a lot of these things are going to conflict. Not all of this is going to be possible, but this is my dream build. And so I'd love it to be able to tackle Highline and Hangover and Captain Ahab and Portal and all the rowdy stuff, but still be comfortable enough to do 60-mile days bike packing with it. I'd like to ride the Arizona Trail on it. Basically, I want to build a bike that has tons of options, no compromises. Everyone wants that, right? We want a bike that climbs like an XC bike and descends like a downhill bike. I don't have any illusions of grandeur of that, but I do want it to fit into the aggressive trail category. So short travel, rowdy, fun, easy to manual, bunny hop, play around on, kind of have a trialsy feel to it, able to carry a load. I think it's totally doable, because I've ridden some bikes that have a super broad range of what they can do, and I know it's possible. The question is, can I get it right the first or second or third time? So I'm going to tell you more about this process and the company I'm working with and the geo numbers that I would want to see, but I'm curious, what would you want to see? And I'm also curious if anyone can guess kind of the geo that I would want to see. Those that are really close, I'll send you a sticker pack. So post up in the comments below what your ideal geo is and what you think my ideal geo is going to be on this. And if anyone's pretty close, I'll send you some stickers. Anyway, I cannot wait to share more with you. This has been going on for over a year now, and I can finally talk about it. I've been wishing to tell you about this sooner, but exciting things are happening, and you're going to be hearing a lot more about this bike soon. So get excited. I am super excited. I cannot wait to show this bike to you and let you know how it works, if it works well, or if I was off, or what I would change and what I've learned from this project. It's the ultimate experimental episode where I pick the exact characteristics of the bike that I want to design. So there you have it. Thanks for watching. Post your comments below. What are you hoping it'll be like? There's a party in the mountains and you're invited.